Ruto was a presidential candidate. Raila was a presidential candidate. So presidents are now on one side.
Yeah.
Running mate to Ruto was Gachagua. Running mate to Raila was Martha. Running mate to Raila previously had been Kalonzo. So running mates are on one side. Presidents on one side. And you're telling me that's a choice?
Hey there and welcome to Fanya Mambo Africa. Super excited today. I have one of the most passionate advocates in this country, a man who is very concerned about the governance and who believes in 2027 is going to make as the third deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. I'm speaking about none other than Council Willis Otieno. Karibu sana Alpha House.
Asante sana.
It's been long coming.
Yeah. I don't know why it took you so long to invite me.
I don't know why it took you for you to be available.
Maybe it was my name is my name is must have sent word for you not to host me. But now I'm here.
Now they are suffering.
So now they are suffering. My name is suffering.
Karibu sana. How have you been?
I'm good.
You good?
Cannot complain despite the circumstances.
All right.
And the pain in the country.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of it for that matter.
Yeah. Things are not looking good. We have a rogue regime that is now turned to become a killer regime, killing our young people just for agitating for what is their right in the constitution, abducting them, disappearing them. And then you have legacy politicians who see no problem with what is going on. And they must know their time is up.
The time is up.
The time is up.
Okay, now since you've started on that direction, that was not the direction I was going to start with, but let's start with it.
Yes.
Let's start with it. The issue of abductions, which now seems to have crossed borders for Kenyans, especially if you visit Tanzania and Tanzanians who visit Kenya and you speak against the government. What's your take on this whole thing between Kenya, Tanzania, abducting people?
You know, one thing about the East Africa Community Treaty and even the spirit behind the community, it was about togetherness, us living as each other's brothers. We are our brothers' keepers. But we now have a system, both in Kenya and Tanzania and also in Uganda, that is very repressive. A part of the ideals of the community is human rights, respect for human rights and a life of dignity. But we are now having a political class that does not want to live true to the ideals of the community. They don't seem to respect human rights. In fact, they see citizens of their respective countries as enemies. They are trying to pit Kenyans against Tanzanians, pit Kenyans against Ugandans. To what end? When we can create a truly common market, that you end up having a market of no less than 150 million people.
Yeah.
And if you are to produce and consume within this market, the region will grow. But just because of political opinions and divergent opinions for that matter, you now adopt very repressive tendencies. Tanzania even turns it hostile for Kenyans to go to Tanzania. That if you're a Kenyan, you've gone to Tanzania to observe a justice process, you are deported back into Kenya. If you're lucky. If you're not lucky, you're abducted, you're tortured, and dumped in your home country. And yet, the treaty provides for free movement of people. So what does that free movement of people mean? If Kenyans cannot be allowed access into Tanzania, so and when they do, they're abducted.
Do you think the presidents of the countries then have agreed that they're going to silence dissent across?
Of course, it's a silent agreement by the political leaders, those presidents, that I will help you, you'll also help me. Scratch my back, I scratch your back. So when my opponents, those who are calling me to account, are in your country, you can do to them whatever you want. Torture them, abduct them, torture them, and dump them back if there's so much noise coming from the home country. Dump them back in that country. And that is contrary to the spirit of the community. It is getting to a point where there was a function I attended when they tried playing the East African anthem. The young people were there said, shut down that thing. Hakuna jumuiya. Yeah, we are getting there. They say we are not part of any jumuiya. A jumuiya that abducts all of us. We don't want to listen to that anthem, which is quite unfortunate, because the purpose of the community, as envisaged by Nyerere, it was about us living together as brothers and sisters and creating a common market where we'll be able to turn our numbers to be our strength. We produce and consume within the community. Whatever we can produce, with the money remains here. And even goods coming into the community, they are subject to certain controls so that our competitive edge is not diluted. But look now, because of political expediency, we are now inciting citizens against fellow citizens. That's quite unfortunate.
So do you think the East African region, because we've seen this across, especially West Africa, a lot of revolutions, is the East African region ready for revolution? And if it happens, how do you envision it?
The phase we are in life, we're in the phase of people empowerment. And there's nothing that these despots will do that will stop it. They can only delay it, but it is inevitable. It is their destiny. People are now more aware. People are now more involved. And we have a critical mass of young people which population is ballooning every day. And they are not their ancestors. Them, they believe, they understand what the role of government is. Yeah. And they understand what all this thing is about. It's about guaranteeing everybody a life of dignity. So they will not take what the ancestors took. Them, they will speak up, and they are speaking up. Because as it is, look at what they are offered. If you don't speak up, you're going to die anyway. You're dying out of a preventable disease. You're dying out of despair, depression. You've lost hope in life. You cannot engage in a productive economic activity because the system is rigged against you. So you ask yourself, the most productive years in a human being is between the ages of 18 to the age of 50. If your most productive years, you cannot function in a proper economy, you cannot make your contribution. Do you know what that means? It means that for the whole of your life, you are condemned to penury. Because once you reach the social security age, you never worked when you are most productive. You are now retired, you don't have any pension. You have reached the retirement age, you have no pension. Now you'll end up being a burden to the community that must now find ways to accommodate you, because at that point, even your strength to work, even your abilities have reduced. So the society will now have to find a way of accommodating you and taking care of you in your old age. So this is the time when our young people must be granted an opportunity to fully engage in the economy and to apply their skills and strength towards economic empowerment.
And to do that for especially the Kenyan youth, last year people went to the streets fighting for, better governance and equal opportunities. And we've had a whole year, which essentially nothing much was done with regards to what took people to the street. And so this year again, people went out to the streets. And now the resultant factor has been the government shooting to kill, even orders being given by the government for that. When you look at that, then how best do we reimagine Kenya so that we do not have a space where we're fighting for things, but they never come? If anything, the situation just gets worse. The
interesting thing is when you say what happened after the June 25th invasion of Parliament.
Yes.
I do believe that June 25th was the turning point and the writing was on the wall. The people claimed their sovereignty. And as we speak today, the Kenyan people don't recognize those members of Parliament, even William Ruto as a president. They don't. They are just there by virtue of occupying office. But they lack regime legitimacy to make any decision that the people will say, this is to our benefit or is done as a result of our donated power. So the legacy politicians they had to come with a script to respond to this. Because what we witnessed was a people unmobilized, without any leader, without any political party taking the credit, coming out for the first time in the history of the earth of Kenyans agitating for their common good, economic rights. They are not mobilizing for tribal rights. They are not mobilizing based on the previous things that they've been subjected to. This was a common quest that affects every Kenyan, every household, irrespective of your tribe, your age, your gender, your orientation. Everybody was going to be affected positively when the revolution succeeds. So legacy politicians understood that to them, there was a new political movement that was emerging that threatens their control and hold onto power. That is why it was easy for them to come together, do the handshakes, do the BBGs, and all of that. And if you look at history, the script they're reading from is the same. The first thing normally is the legacy politicians coming together. The second thing is they try to become high-handed, killings, abductions. Third script normally is to hire goons. Fourth script is normally to go to detentions, abductions, detentions without trials, home attacks. Somebody is attacked in his home. So they've played it all. But their aim was to break the spirit, beat people into submission. The people of Kenya have refused to accept that. They are now left with only one script that they're going to try. And they're trying it already. Try to pit Kenyans against each other based on tribe.
Is that the old
that's the old. That's what they know. That's what they know. Yes, but it will not work. Because, sorry, the issue bringing Kenyans out together is not limited by tribe. Shifsha does not have any tribe. When you go to a pump station to buy fuel, it knows no tribe. Joblessness knows no tribe. In fact, you'll find that there are even people living right behind the president's own home who are suffering even far much worse than your average Kenyan. So tribe does not help you. What helps you is your humanity. So we must create a new society where everybody is guaranteed one thing, dignity. But the legacy politicians don't want that. Why? Because to create that society, it will be about politics where you discuss issues, not tribe. You come up and you say, I'm going to do this to the people. And the people ask you how. The how question, how will you do it? How will you fund it?
When you look at the president, I mean, the sitting president, because constitutionally still he is, do you think then he understands how to deal with issues rather than these small things? Because actually, let me just read what he said the other day, which I found quite interesting. What if Ruto is the agent of destiny for the promise of Kenya, whose promise has been delayed for far too long? And then he said, pause, reflect, think, and give me a chance and judge me when the time comes.
He's the agent of destiny. In fact, to him, it is his destiny. It happens that it falls upon him to be the first one term or even half-term president. Yeah, that is destiny. No president in the history of Kenya has ever lost public support like William Ruto has. And no president in the history of Kenya has ever faced the kind of uprising, not mobilized by a politician, but the people themselves, like William Ruto. So it is destiny. Yes, he's the agent of destiny to mean that for the first time, Kenyans are going to be agitating for a better Kenya for all of us, not just for a tribe or a political cabral. That is his fate. But look at William Ruto. Let's be honest. If you listened to William Ruto's speech on the date when he was sworn in on 13th of September 2023, I listened to that speech. And what I heard was a chief operations officer. I didn't listen or I didn't hear a chief executive officer speak.
Why say so?
He spoke operations. He stood up and said, I'm going to swear in those judges who had not been appointed by Uhuru. So he left Kasarani, went to State House, appointed them. What was the vision? So you've done the appointment, you've sworn them in. Then what? That's an activity. As a president, you're supposed to sell a vision. If it's a question of judiciary, talk about access to justice. Sell a vision of you want to make sure that Kenyans are able to efficiently and within the shortest time possible to access justice. Then the rest are activities to be done by your departments, department heads and your ministers. Now, if you are the one who is saying what you are selling to the nation, I'm going to appoint judges, fine, you've appointed them.
But isn't that the role of the president?
No. You cannot stand at the point of takeoff and sell activities. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
He sells activities, not a vision. He should have talked about a vision of access to justice. I want to make sure that by this time, all Kenyans will be able to access justice at an affordable cost. I'll make sure that's efficient and delivered within the shortest time possible. Then now you have activities that needs to be done to achieve that vision. He didn't have it. But he talked about selling fertilizer.
Does that affect the independence of judiciary?
No. You can sell access to justice as a vision. But then activities may require, for example, additional funding to the judiciary. Doesn't mean that you're not interfering with their operations, their independence. You're simply saying the government is geared towards providing a support mechanism to make sure that the vision of access to justice is achieved. He talked about fertilizer to farmers. I looked at that man and I said, this man, there's a problem. When you stand there and you're selling to farmers that I'll give you fertilizers for free, or subsidized fertilizer, what is the vision? Is it once you give the farmer fertilizer, then what? Is that the end of it? You're supposed to say, I'm selling, for example, food security as a vision. We are going to be a food secure nation by this date. Then distributing fertilizers become just but one activity towards food security. Because once you give fertilizers and there's no vision that it feeds into, you are going to give that farmer fertilizer. That farmer does not understand even modern crop husbandry. He does not even know what crop he should plant on that farm. He does not even know what herbicides, if any, he should apply. He is not able to access tractor services to plow his farm. He is not able to deal with post-storage activities. How do I store my produce beyond harvest? He does not know anything about market access. So you don't sell activities, you sell a vision. Activities you leave to your executives.
But I want to imagine the vision was already on the, what is it called? The manifesto.
No, I'm just saying, at the point when you speak, remember you are now addressing the nation as the chief executive. Sell a vision. Tell people this is where we are going. Don't tell us activities. Because those activities are done by the rank and file of the civil service. You can't sell it. He talks about affordable housing. What's affordable housing? What is it? Let's even be honest to Kenyans. Are you telling me that Kenyans' main problem today is affordable housing, that we just need houses to live in? Is that our primary problem?
At the moment, I don't think so.
It cannot be, because go to the market now. Go here in Ruiru, Ruaka, Kilimani. There are so many houses that are not occupied. Not because there are not people who want to live in them. It's because people don't have money in their pockets. They can't afford the rent.
But that's why he was giving an option affordable. They are cheaper.
When you call it affordable, in fact, if he was being honest to Kenyans, the Kenyan people have removed money from their pockets as tax money, affordable housing levy. They've paid it to the fund, right? They've taken public land. The land belongs to the people. They are building on that land. Why are you selling it again? If it was about providing housing, those houses should be free. The people paid for it. It's built on public land. Why are you paying for it? To access it. So where does the money go? Those who are buying it, where does that money go to? And don't tell me that it will be used to build new ones. The tax is still being collected even today.
By the way, now that you're part of the legal fraternity, it would be good to understand, maybe you have a better understanding, this whole idea of paying housing tax, is it to infinity or is there a timeline? That's
the point. As it is now, it's a tax in the law. It's a levy charged.
So it's for life.
It's for life. So unless the law is amended.
When everyone has houses, what happens?
That is why I'm telling you, there is no vision. What are you dealing with here? When did government become a private developer to build for people houses? This should be done by the private sector. Let me give you an example, my favorite example. Why are Kenyans not building enough houses to accommodate everybody? Number one, anybody working in the building sector, construction sector will tell you, our main handicap is access to capital. Because you go to the bank to take a loan, you are told your interest rate is 20%, 25%. They can't afford it. Because right there, the interest rate alone, 25% interest rate, that will be a non-performing loan in less than 6 months.
Yeah.
When you have a shrinking economy. And why is the interest rate that high? Because your government is borrowing heavily, illegally, from the domestic market, from the same bank. So the money is your money. It is you who took money and deposited in the bank. The bank doesn't have its own money.
Yeah.
Government collects its monies, keeps in the banks. So it is your money, either directly or through whatever you pay to government, ends up at the bank. The bank is just a meeting point. Then the same government comes to you and tells you, the bank, that I want to borrow your money and its money, and at a high interest rate of 14-15%. So the government will come back to you to raise your taxes, charges and levies, to pay interest rate on the money that was borrowed, which was your own money in the first place. So that crowds out people from accessing the market. The banks prefer to lend to government.
Yeah.
They don't want to lend to you. But you imagine if we removed or we stopped government lending from the domestic market. The banks have your money. They need to make profits. Interest rates will fall. Banks will be hawking their loans here on the streets like M-Pesa. 2%, 3%. They'll be competing on interest rate. With 3% interest rate, tell me, if I'm able to access that capital, I cannot put up a nice, affordable housing in Githunguri. I identify a market niche in Githunguri. You want to tell me I cannot go to Langata and put up better housing in Langata that I recognize? And you can imagine this happening across the entire country. People who are able to access credit at a lower interest rate and identify their market niche, which market to target. Maybe in Langata, it's a hotspot for upcoming young professionals. In Ruaka, it's a hotspot for Gen Zs. People are just finishing campus or in campus. I'll put up studios. And you can imagine across the country, in Turkana, in Taita, in Marsabit, everybody identifying.
But Willis, for anyone to do that, even just get loans at 3%, it means we would need to have a thriving economy.
But that is part of how you stimulate the economy. Because look at it. The government stock, domestic stock, the amount of money government has lent from the domestic market, or it has taken off the market, is 6 trillion as of now. I want you to release this 6 trillion and allow Kenyans to access it. So everybody with the ideas and innovations has access to capital, they'll produce. I want to do fish farming in Lake Victoria. I need 100 million to put up my fish cages. I have a ready market in Europe where I'll sell that fish. Right?
Yeah.
Somebody wants to import plant and machinery to put up a steel plant here. He has a market in Goma, in DRC. He'll produce more here. Somebody wants to do value add on his avocados here. There's a ready market in China. So you see, when you have access to capital, all your inventions, all your ideas, you can put them to profit. But legacy politicians don't want that.
But logically, that makes sense. But I think our biggest impediment as Kenyans so far from what we understand is because of the debt we have. So even this whole idea of taxing us came because the government has empty coffers. So they're trying to maintain whatever works for the economy with what we are taxed. Then whatever we make, 70%
goes to debt.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what Safina Party will say. I belong to Safina Party. To join Safina Party, star 509 hash on your phone.
You can say that again for anyone.
509 hash. Follow the prompts, join Safina. Safina Party, we are saying, and we've done our forensic audit of the debt. That debt that you're being told, 11.5 trillion debt, the bulk of it is illegal. And we shall not pay.
That is when you come to office.
We shall not. That's a promise we are giving the people. We will not pay it. Odious debt, illegal debt, we shall not pay. When I say odious debt, this is what I mean. Our laws provide for the manner in which you borrow.
Yes.
And it says you only borrow for development. And you only borrow with parliamentary approval. Parliament must approve. So we went to Parliament to check the approvals that Parliament gave for debts to be taken. The debts that Parliament approved were worth 2.3 trillion.
2.3?
Yes, from the year 2013 to 2023. Those are the only debts that our Parliament approved. If somebody lent money to Kenya government without doing their due diligence, he was not shown where Parliament approved it. He was not shown any project was financing. We are sorry, we are not paying you.
So looking at it, that's maybe easier said than done. Then
Why?
No, let me ask first. Then should we then say Parliament failed in its work?
Parliament did not fail. Parliament was asked to approve loans over the years, and the loans which were taken to them to finance projects were worth 2.3 trillion. If somebody somewhere who is in the executive decided to go to a commercial bank in Kenya or to a foreign bank in Europe or America, saying, I'm the president or I'm the CS Finance, give me this loan, that bank had a responsibility, number one, to ask him, where do you get the authority to borrow this money? What does your law say about borrowing? The law says you must give me parliamentary approval. Where is it? You don't have it, I cannot give you. Which project are we financing? Because your laws say we only lend you money for project finance. There's no project we are financing. I'm sorry, I cannot give you. If they didn't do that due diligence, it is their problem, the banks, and also the problem of the people who took that money. They'll go to jail.
What is the impact of that for the country? Because I want to imagine, let's say President Kenyatta then went and borrowed and did all those things.
Yes.
I do not want to imagine you can just go and say, I'm the president, I'm borrowing, and you just get money, because they do the signature thing.
Yes, they sign.
So he takes on behalf of the country, right?
But he is not a king. This is a republic,
Yes.
not a monarchy. You see, when it's a monarchy, it's a kingdom. The king's word is law.
Yeah.
So if the king appears somewhere and says, I want to do this, that is the law. But when it's a republic, you are made president by virtue of that law. You are subject to that law. The law says you cannot borrow without parliamentary approval.
Yes.
So what they did was illegal. They were committing an act of illegality. And the banks that allowed it, because even them, they have a responsibility to make sure that before you lend money, you've done your due diligence. You've done your background check of Kenya to find out what does the laws of Kenya say about lending money to Kenya. It says you must get parliamentary approval. So write for me here. Where's the parliamentary approval? It is here. Okay. Number two, you can only borrow for development. Which project are we lending this money towards? If that is not there, then all these are criminal enterprise that involve both parties, the banks and the Kenyan executives. And as Safina, we are saying we are not paying.
No, right. But when you look at it from a legal perspective, what happens to the country?
Nothing.
We won't have
Ghana is paying its debts. It's even negotiating.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example of Mozambique. In 2014, Kenya took Eurobond, $2 billion. Mozambique at the same time also went to the bond market, international. Theirs they call it tuna bond. Again, $2 billion. When the time for repaying the tuna bond came, some group in Mozambique went to court. They said, no, this money was taken without following our laws. We cannot pay it. And the Constitutional Court in Mozambique said, actually, they didn't follow the law in giving this money. This is trying to steal from the people of Mozambique. Don't pay it. Consequences, Credit Suisse collapsed. Executives in jail. Then finance minister, jail. Then head of intelligence, jail. The then president's son, who was in charge of arranging all this, jail. Mozambique is still there. They didn't pay their $2 billion tuna bond. As in Kenya, at the same time, we took $2 billion Eurobond. $1 billion we can trace. 650 went to retire an old loan Kibaki had taken. 350 found its way to the central bank, consolidated fund, exchequer account. So accounted for 1 billion. 1 billion, when people made noise, the then CS Treasury, Henry Rotich, released a SWIFT transfer that shows it's coming from JP Morgan. Where it is landing, he redacted it, made it black. You cannot see the recipient account. It is somewhere in Qatar. Why should you ask the Kenyan people that someone is keeping $1 billion in his private account in Qatar, and you ask these Kenyan people to pay for it? No, we can't. Okay. Safina party will not pay it.
Then why do you think, if it sounds very easy, like ABC, you know. Why is it so hard for President Ruto to say we're not paying?
What was he in that administration? He was the deputy president.
Deputy, yes.
Number one defender of Eurobonds. So obviously, I'm sure, somewhere along the way, he's a beneficiary. And he's also done it with his administration. They've taken illegal loans. So to them, they are feeding the Ponzi scheme to continue. It's a Ponzi scheme.
So this 70% we put of the income made that goes out is...
let me tell you what I didn't finish telling you. In our forensic audit, 2.3 trillion is what Parliament approved. In the same period, we had paid what we had paid out as debt finance, 5.7 trillion.
So that comes to around 9.
No. What we've paid.
What we had paid was.
Parliament has approved you to take loans worth 2.3. You have paid what you've paid from your tax money. You've paid debts worth around 5.7 trillion. You've paid back to the banks. But I'll also tell you, part of the inherited debt from Kibaki, it was around 2.2 trillion in the 10 years of Kibaki, 2.2 trillion plus 2.3 trillion. That is 4 point.
3 and
4.4, no, 4.5, 4.5 trillion. So our debt, legitimate, was 4.5 trillion. We have paid in the period 5.7 trillion, which means we overpaid our debts.
So we have some...
They should refund us money back. Yes. 1.2 trillion should be paid back to us. We are owed money.
That's very interesting. We hope...
Then, you are told, while at it you are told, actually, you owe 11.5 trillion.
Yeah, at the moment, yes.
At the moment. Which is this debt that keeps going up. As I'm telling you, it's a Ponzi scheme. And one thing that we must all accept, the situation in the country will not stop until the day we get a leader who is courageous enough to confront the debt monster. The largest expenditure item of your books is debt finance. It's now taking between 70 to 80% of your revenue goes to debt finance. In this financial year alone, you are going to pay debt worth 2 trillion. In debt finance will be 2 trillion.
That's half our budget.
Not half. Your collections. Let's talk about collections. This year, your revenue, the last financial year, your revenue was 2.5 trillion. Everything remaining constant, it will still be 2.5 trillion. Correct?
Yes.
So it means you will have paid in tax revenue 2.5 trillion, and you are going to pay to debt finance 2 trillion. You are left with 500 billion. Now you're asking yourself, why is chief share not working? Why is government not paying school capitation? Why is there no money for government to provide social services? What is happening is this. A broke government like now this one, because debt is killing them, they now start shirking responsibilities back to the people. So instead of providing money to the schools,
parents pay.
Parents now meet the burden. Instead of providing money for hospitals, parents and patients pay for it. That is what is going on here.
But let me ask, now that you've brought in the issue of education, we've had the CS saying Treasury has no money. I think there's outcry, then he comes back and says, no, I did not say that. I said we can only pay 17,000 out of the required 22,000 for each student in day school. Then the president and his deputy comes and say, no, we can't take, but we have enough money too. So in such a scenario, the Treasury CS, I want to believe, knows better than the president in this scenario because he's part of the policy makers. And then maybe they just give the president report. Who do we believe, and why is an issue like education very not straight cut?
Who do you believe? I want you to believe the person who, when you go to a school and you ask any principal or head teacher, when is the last time you received capitation and how much was it? Yeah. The truth of the matter is schools are not receiving their capitation on time to begin with, and they don't receive the amount that they're entitled to. So whatever Mbadi was saying is not new. They've been doing it already anyway. They've been cutting costs already. Whatever they're sending to the schools, they've been cutting it. You saw there's a school somewhere, I think it was in Busia or Siaya, where kids went to strike because of hunger. There's no food. They couldn't be fed in school. It's happening across. Principals will tell you to get a supplier to provide food to school is a problem because they are not paying them. So even many people have decided we are not providing supplies to schools because capitation is not coming on time.
So do we have the money or not, for starters?
80% of the money that you had has gone to debt finance. You are left with 20%. This 20%, so for every 100 shillings, you are left with 20 shillings. 80 shillings you spent to pay debt. You are left with 80. You need 30 for salaries. You need 30 for operations. You need 35 to counties. You had only 20.
So you're on the negative.
So you cannot grow if you don't deal with the largest expenditure item. What is eating the bulk of your money? It is debt. And Kenyans need to understand that any political conversation going forward should be focused on this debt. It is the one that is killing the country. When William Ruto's administration increases their taxes, levies, and charges every day, remember they are taking the bulk of the money to pay debt. They are now trying to find ways in which they can make money to survive. You understand?
Yeah.
So they have to come and ask you, is there more in your pockets? We take it away. So they are mopping out all monies in the economy.
But how much more can you take?
So they hunt for your pound of flesh. If they can't find, then they ask you, if you don't have money in your pocket, then cut a pound of flesh. So then die. That's why shift share, we are not going to fund. The shift share nonsense. You can as well drop out of school if you don't have money. Only those who are able to find it can sustain that infrastructure, as we are not going to do anything to it. But in our approach, you asked me about if you don't pay this debt, what will happen?
Yeah, especially with people like IMF, World Bank.
Number one, nothing will happen to us. Don't fear. Because what it means automatically is this. I was supposed to pay 2 trillion towards debt finance. So you declare that debt odious. I'm 2 trillion richer. Yeah. No, you are 2 trillion richer. It could have gone to the financiers. You have it. To fund education from primary, secondary to tertiary, funding all of that will cost me less than 500 billion.
Yeah.
Say I'm 2 trillion richer. So I can afford to pay that. So you will have your education free all the way up.
Who are you going to do
Then,
business
number 2, I'm coming to that.
Okay.
Say I have money.
Yeah.
I don't need anybody. From my own pockets, I don't need to go and borrow money. I have 2 trillion. I'm 2 trillion richer. I have to fund healthcare here in Kenya. What NHI, what now Shifsha is saying, it's costing 170 billion. I have money. From my 2 trillion, I can run that free healthcare across the country, everywhere. To go to a hospital will be free. I'll even still have, for education and healthcare alone, has costed me 670 billion. I had 2 trillion. I still have money. I can create a Kenyan exim that even now Uganda, Tanzania can come and borrow from Kenya. I'm a rich man. Kenya is a rich country at that point. We create our own exim here. People come to borrow here to do trade or do their development projects. And they pay us. That's the different mindset. You pay fuel. They collect 16% VAT off your pump price. That VAT on fuel was introduced because they need to pay the debt. Say I have 2 trillion. The people must get relief. I'll tell them, no, we can't pay at 16%. This money is too much. Reduce VAT on fuel from 16 to 5% or 4% or even 0, depending on what we agree with the people. So your pump price immediately goes down automatically. When I take away the burden of paying your school fees, do you know what that means? If you had a family of 5, you have now been released to money by the government. It's a stimulus program. With the money you could have spent on school fees, you're going to spend it now on other things. If you are buying half a loaf of bread for your kids every morning, you now have money, you can buy them a full loaf. So it means the baker must bake more bread. See, there are more people eating bread now. So the baker must employ more people. The price of fuel has gone down. The border must reduce its prices. The farmer who has been telling his kids that today you are missing school because you must all turn into laborers to go and hand dig, now has money, can go and hire a tractor to plow for him his farm. So you'll see more consumption of fuel. You'll see enhanced production in the country.
But that is assuming you're doing business just in your area.
No.
No, because
what you are producing...
You're not an island.
No. You're an island. What you are producing, there's demand for it. I've just told you here, in the Jumuiya alone, we're almost 200 million people. There's a market. And even the first thing that we must do for a country to grow, you must be able to produce what you consume. Yes, we can do our business amongst ourselves. And our surplus we can export. We have items here.
I was coming to that export business because at the end of the day, countries like Kenya are under the heavy watch of these big boys, companies or organizations like IMF and World Bank. And if you default a loan, then there are sanctions might come. Something might just happen that affects the country, right?
There is no sanction that is going to come if you follow the law. As I've said, we will go into the law. That debt which was illegal, we will not pay it. The one which is legal, followed our laws, we will pay it. Mozambique is here. I've given you the perfect example. 2 billion Mozambique tuna bond, 2 billion Kenya euro bond. Their tuna bond was eaten. Our euro bond was partly eaten. Why should we pay? See, they are still surviving here. And the bulk of these loans, by the way, let me surprise you. You'll even find these illegal loans, most of them, the illegal ones, are held here by domestic banks. That's why you see banks are the only ones declaring super profits. They're the ones lending illegally. Don't even go to international or see what. Beyond the commercial banks locally are the London Sovereign Group. Again, commercial banks, international commercial banks. They are the ones. There are no governments that we are going to be at war with here to even start worrying that, okay, maybe. No.
We may not be at war, but the truth is no country can survive by itself. Generally, you have to have partners across for even security reasons.
So of what interest is it to a bank if a country has found that its own bank was engaged in illegal activities? Credit Suisse, I told you, was facilitating criminality in Mozambique. They are arrested in their own home country, Switzerland. It collapsed. The regulator moved in. What are you doing here with your name, the name of this bank? So even in those countries, those banks will be facing sanctions. In fact, those countries will be very happy with us. They will say, Kenya, you've exposed a massive corruption involving our own executive, our own nationals. So don't buy the fear that people tell you that, there'll be no sanctions. Because beneath this illegal debt is criminality.
But they benefit more even.
No. But they benefit more. But once that criminality is exposed, the country will not stand and say we support criminality. Because within that country also, there are many people who are hardworking. In those countries, there are many people who are hardworking and living by the law. They are not going to say, I now expose us because of that one bank that was supporting a criminal regime in Kenya, and now they've been caught. Now the whole country must pay the consequences. No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't.
That's very interesting.
It doesn't work like that. But I know you'll wonder, you think it is that simple. Why are they not doing it?
Yeah.
They're legacy politicians.
It's not even just in Kenya. It's across Africa.
I've told you Mozambique did it.
Well...
2 billion, they did it. $2 billion, they did it. Mozambique is still there.
It is. I would want to know why countries...
And one thing you'll note, when Mozambique did it, you can see the people are being arrested. Yeah. Head of intelligence, Minister of Finance, the then President's son. He's in jail until today. He's still in jail. So even in Kenya, when we do it, it's going to expose many of these people why they can't do it. Because they are in it. They are supporting this criminality. So you don't expect them to take an action for the interest of the people. That is what I'm advocating. We must now move to a point where we are making a decision for the best interest of the Kenyan people, not individuals.
Okay, you're giving very interesting examples, and the only example you're giving is Mozambique. Then why is Mozambique not influencing the rest of African nations,
But
even their own neighbor, South Africa?
You ask yourself, are they facing similar problems in debt? The country that was facing a similar problem was Ghana. They went the debt distress exchange program, which costed Ado's party the elections. It was pain. So why do you want to force other countries to follow a similar route if they have no similar problem?
Did it do good for Ghana or bad if you look at it?
No, to them it was a debt default. And they've suffered the consequences. They were haircuts. Bondholders were told to take a haircut. So if you had a bond of 100,000, 30% was taken by government. It was devalued by 30%. So people lost money. So
you feel such a scenario would not be...
So for us, we'll avoid a debt default. As we'll not default, as we'll simply say we're doing an audit. And whatever is illegal, we are not paying. Mozambique did not default. They simply said, this money was not taken in the name of Mozambique, did not come to Mozambique. It was taken without following our laws. We are not paying. It ended there. The story ended. In fact, the consequences was, just let's now deal with the criminality. Who are the people behind this criminal enterprise? Take them to jail. That was all. It didn't affect the economy and their participation. And that's the most recent. The odious debt doctrine is not new. Even the US has used it before.
That's very interesting and easy. I find it easier said than done.
No, the thing is, you don't want to believe. What you should be asking yourself is, why are they not declaring? We should be demanding, why are we not doing an own audit of our debt? In the NADCO report, and even I think the 10-point agenda, debt was one of the issues they raised, they flagged.
Yes.
Why have they not done anything to audit that debt? Yeah.
Well, the broad-based is a different story.
No, the point is, I'm telling you, what you need to internalize is this. You have people in leadership positions who are so immersed into this debt thing. They will never touch it. They'll never open it. But they know it is what is killing the country. But them, they're benefiting. When they are paying banks here exorbitant interest rates of 14-15% on treasury bills and bonds, I believe somewhere along the way, there are so many people in government who are eating from that interest rate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they'll never touch it. Their accounts are growing fat, while the Kenyan people are growing thin.
How can
you expect them to stop what is feeding them? How?
Of course, they cannot touch the pipe. Out of curiosity, is it possible or legally do we have a clause that provides for making the public debt open to the public?
In our Constitution, Article 10, and even in Chapter 11 on public finance, our hope as a people is that transparency and accountability are principles of governance. Chapter 12 of public finance. Transparency and accountability are key principles of governance in this country. So what you expect is a proactive disclosures of this information, because this affects the country. So when you are told that state organs must comply with the national values and principles of governance, transparency is one of them. Accountability is another. So you should do what is called proactive disclosures. They should have published that information, but they don't want to.
So when they don't do it proactively, what happens? What can we do
as citizens? People are going to court, and there are several cases which have been filed on this issue. I'm involved in one of them, where we are saying, no, bring that debt register here. And all the payments which have been done. And all the parliamentary approvals to take these debts. And a list of all the projects they funded as per law. But you will not. Sometimes in 2014, when Uhuru was president, Ruto was deputy, Duale was majority leader, they amended the PFM Act to even allow that Kenya government can go and borrow money abroad and spend the money at source. It doesn't even need to land into the consolidated fund.
So it's in the law now.
They amended the law. But even that amendment which they brought contravenes the Constitution, because the Constitution provides all revenue must be placed inside the consolidated fund. That is where the controller of budget has sight of it. You cannot expend it without the approval of the controller.
Yeah.
Then they allowed, you can go there and borrow in the name of Kenya, Eurobond, and spend it at source without coming here. Those are illegalities.
And that is what you're saying, being spent can be...
Send money everywhere. Somebody is buying hotels in Dubai, in Qatar, in Europe, and you want Kenyans to pay for that money.
But let me ask, do we have such a huge gap in the law that as a president you have the liberty?
No, we don't have the laws are there. What we have is a bad culture of ignoring the law. I will not even tell any Kenyans to go and amend any laws. The laws are all there. What we need to deal with is the political culture that is bad. And that is why the invitation that I keep making to people. In our political choices, we must know what you're electing. Are you going to keep electing legacy politicians and accept different results? It will not. This is an opportunity for the Kenyan people to drain the swamp. Fagia water. All these people have been in the cabinet room for the last 30 years. They must all go. Let Kenyans now elect a new crop of leaders. People who will be about public service and delivering the common good. The best interest of the nation, not the best interest of the legacy politicians. Are we ready for that conversation? I think so.
I think we are on already. That's why we are here also.
That's what I'm saying. I believe Kenyans are ready for that conversation. We should not be allowing these legacy politicians to keep doing which they're doing. And you know, the easy thing I always say, they've given us their best anyway. The sum total of legacy politics is we are where we are today. This is their best.
What we have at the moment.
Yeah, this is their best. So what will you lose if you try something new? With a new crop, there's potential. In fact, the worst that can happen to the new crop is they will do the same thing as the legacy politicians. Yeah. But at least they have potential to do better.
Okay. In line with that potential, what we have seen is the United Opposition something, which has all these people you're saying are legacy. Of course they are, we know it. And just the other day, the president was saying, you cannot just be having one call. Ruto must go.
Going,
without a plan.
Listen, Ruto going, he must go. And he will go. The question is not if, it is when. Going is going. But the answer to Ruto must go cannot also be that of the group, if you ask me, my honest view. Let's be serious. In the last election, the last I checked, Ruto was a presidential candidate. Raila was a presidential candidate. So presidents are now on one side.
Yeah.
Running mate to Ruto was Gachagua. Running mate to Raila was Kamatha. Running mate to Raila previously had been Kalonzo. So running mates are on one side. Presidents on one side. And you're telling me that's a choice? That's not a choice.
So that's...
No, they are the same. These are people who can easily cross-mingle and change jerseys. They are the same.
Okay.
So for me, Ruto must go is a clarion call for all of them. All of them to go.
All of them must go.
All of them must go. So, but Ruto is the face of it because he's the one superintending over the pain the people are going through. So in terms of choosing a next leader, we have to be very clear as to the quality of a leader you are choosing. And what does it represent? Why are you voting for him? What is his positioning in the past on the issues affecting Mwananchi? What is his proposal? Is it believable? Is it tangible? Can you test it? Can we debate the issues? If the United Opposition group is uniting as tribes, then what's the difference with Ruto then? Same old politics of tribes coming together. It cannot be tribe.
So are you saying your party leader is not part of the United Opposition?
Safina party. We are not part of the United Opposition. We are independent-minded, and we are going to create a coalition with the people of Kenya. When we will sign an MOU with the people of Kenya. On economic issues, I've told you, number one, on that list of that MOU, we are not paying odious debt. And once we say we are not paying odious debt, what is the take-home for Mwananchi out of that promise? Not us giving them. It's a take-home that they take immediately. When I say, for example, that we will not pay the price of VAT, price of fuel must come down by 16%. We are not paying VAT on fuel. It is not that government will come and tell you, take back your 16% VAT. No. Who pays the fuel? So it's the mwananchi.
Yeah.
So we are simply saying in our MOU, from the 1st of October, once we're in office, VAT on fuel goes to zero. So you as a mwananchi, you are the holder of the money. Go to your pump price and pay less 16%, or by the amount we'll have agreed. It is you giving the government money, not government giving you money. When we say school is going to be free because we're not paying odious debt, on the day of reporting, report to school free.
Show up.
Show up.
So who's going to be Safina's presidential candidate?
It's Jimmy Wanjigi, and I'm the running mate. Yes.
Oh, and okay. So I could be speaking to the next deputy president.
You're speaking to the deputy president designate, the people's deputy.
Okay. Before I come to you two, we have two other people who have been in the public service, but they have not been in the main political space, so to say, and that is Justice Maraga and Omtata. What is your feeling of the two?
As individuals, I know them personally. They are people who mean well. And even them, they are frustrated by the failures of these legacy politicians. And I believe that is why Maraga has decided to come out of his retirement to try to offer alternative leadership to the legacy politics we are used to. That's the most I can say about them. I don't know their economic agenda. I've not yet seen them discuss the economic issues. Maybe in the fullness of time, they'll be able to offer. And we can interrogate it, just like I invite Kenyans to interrogate our own economic agenda.
Okay, you've just shared your economic agenda. What other agenda do you have for Kenya as Safina Party?
As we are only on one thing. We believe we are going through an economic revolution. The greatest thing and the greatest liberation, freedom that a human being can have, is economic freedom, to have money in your pocket. That's the most important. The rest will follow. When you have money in your pockets, you're a little king. We believe that with an economic liberation, people are able to access capital. We are going to unleash a potential here in this country and into Africa that has never been seen before. Kenyans, by their own nature, are very innovative. They are resilient. They are hardworking. They can conquer the whole continent if they wanted to. What is holding us back is access to capital. That's all. And I've told you the number one barrier of access to capital is government of Kenya. It is today sitting on 6 trillion. Do you know what 6 trillion is?
It's a lot of money.
Government of Kenya is sitting on 6 trillion that it has taken off the domestic market at 14% interest rate. If you can release that money by just walking out of domestic borrowing as government, and you're allowing mwananchi to be able to access that money, what can these Kenyans do? With economic freedom, people will guarantee lives of dignity. In fact, what is in our mind is it's just even beyond the economy. As we are thinking of the social pressure that will come with an empowered population. Because if you're not careful, with a lot of money in their pockets, people may decide they're not going to work anymore. They're now going to Naivasha Monday to Friday. Saturday they go to Diani.
Maybe that would grow the economy.
No, it will grow, but you also want people to still be more productive and live with certain morals and values. So we want to create a value society that, yes, you are rich, but there are some African values that are innate in us that we need to come out. Today, the system has beaten the Kenyan people that you may actually think that Kenyans don't have values. But you see Kenyans, when even somebody's an accident, the first approach normally is not for Kenyans to rob. But because of the demeaning manner, the depression they're going through, you find Kenyans now attack. When there's an accident, the first thing is to loot. That's not who they are. The true Kenyan is someone who, if they met a stranger at night, they will invite him to their home. Today, they will not do that. Why? The stranger may be a thief.
Yeah. Do you think Kenyans trust you and Jimmy to fix the economy?
The question of trust is neither here nor there.
It is.
No, I don't want them to trust me. I want them to test me. Let's debate.
They can only test you after they've trusted your manifesto.
The way you are debating with me,
yes,
I want them to debate with me. Let's hear arguments. How can this work? How can it not work? Because with the debate, we create this together.
Yeah.
Because I've told you we are going to form a coalition with the Kenyan people, not with the legacy politicians. And we want them to take ownership of the coalition. So don't just trust me blindly. You must be able to ask me, okay, Willis, these are the things you're saying with Jimmy. Let's debate. Let's argue. Let's banter.
Okay.
And out of this banter, your idea, maybe you didn't look at this particular part. So you find somebody giving you an idea. Maybe consider this. By the time we are signing that coalition agreement with the people, it's a people-owned document, and it has benefited a lot from critics who've improved it. And everybody can see this rolled out. We are going to see the change.
Okay. Your idea of economic empowerment sounds very much like what Trump came into power and decided, you know what, we'll have tariffs across so that America grows and has more money than the world. But I think it was 2 days later, he had to postpone to 90 days because the world was shaken and the economy was crumbling.
Did people go to negotiate with Trump? Yeah, he went to the extreme and people are negotiating with him. He managed to improve their trade, balance of trade. It was like this with some countries like China.
Is it what you want for us? Just shake up.
No, we are not shaking. As we are turning it upside down, and we are starting with the debt. You asked me something else that I believe is a critical issue that I must say as part of what we are going to propose on law and order sector. One thing that our young people have faced from this response from the legacy politicians, when the young people have invoked the Article 37 rights, they've been met with bullets.
Yeah.
They've been met with abductions, extrajudicial killings. The police sees themselves as the protectors of legacy politicians, not as servants of the people. Why? In our constitution, it is said that the police should be subordinate to civilian authority. That's in the constitution already as a principle. What are we proposing? As we are proposing this, in every police station, there must be a local community oversight committee elected by the people, served by that police station.
So like a nyumba kumi?
Not nyumba kumi.
No, as in an initiative sort of.
And yes, neighborhood, people in that neighborhood elects a committee that has an oversight over the police station. And as part of their oversight duties, they have a right to walk into a police station and inspect the cells. Who is being held here? Why is it being admitted to bail? If it's an offense that, is bailable. If this one is injured, why has it been taken to hospital? This one has been held here for 5 days. Why has never gone to court? You send policemen out to police demonstrations. Why did you give them firearms? The firearms that you gave out, where is the inventory of how they were used? Which policeman fired a bullet? What is the report that he gave on that bullet? What are the circumstances under which he had to shoot? Who did he shoot? What happened to that person? You get civilians now taking control of oversighting the police at their level. And ultimately, I do believe it's time we should elect our own OCPDs.
Elect?
We need to elect our own OCPD.
As
the
police or as
charge.
civilians?
He can be a civilian or a police officer, but draws his mandate from the people in that police division. Because, as it is today, these OCPDs, where do they get the instructions from? Orders from? Above. Who is the above? A politician.
Depends.
No.
For them, it depends.
That above, yes. When you follow that hierarchy, the ultimate above is a politician. Anyway.
Yes. Yes.
Who is now using the police to pursue political interest. We have to break that control from the politician. What better way to do it than say, at the command level at the division, let the people elect their OCPD. And all those officers, they can be appointed under the NPS, National Police Service as usual, but once they are deployed to that division, they are under the command of
civilians.
The OCPD. He can be a policeman or a civilian. So that if there's a rogue unit moving around here in Subarus, balaclavas, abducting people, killing people. The OCPD is responsible for that division. He has a duty to explain who is that rogue unit, where is he coming from. He can deploy his officers to go and arrest them. And ultimately, if he's part of it, it is the people who elected him.
So they
he
have to
lives
suffer
there.
the
They can come and visit his they can come and visit his home. Yeah.
Okay, sounds like an
If the
interesting idea.
if the people have given you a mandate as an OCPD, you are answerable not to a legacy politician at the top.
Yeah.
You are answerable to your electorate.
The people, yeah.
No one is going to sit back and say, I'm allowing a rogue DCI or some strange unit to come and kill my people, and I'm watching. No, they will not. That's how you deal with this thing. We must break the system.
Okay.
Safina Party, we are going to upset what you people know as the normal.
And break the norm.
We are going to break it. And all of this, I want you to understand, our ultimate intention is to empower the people.
The people.
Take power back to the people.
Okay. As you take power back to the people, recently we've had Kenyans charged with terror for participating in demos. And also now the judiciary has been giving very high bonds for, such people. What's your take on that, and how do you then navigate that?
So when Igonga decides to start charging every person who is exercising Article 37 right with the offense of terrorism, number one, you are demeaning the seriousness of the offense of terror.
Yeah.
You are demeaning it. Number two, you are advertising to the whole world that in Kenya now is just a den of terrorists. We have all these 300 terrorists, including poor fishermen from Mozambique, who've never gone past Kericho, are now being tried in Nairobi for acts of terror. Then number three, you're asking so many people across the globe to go and look into their own affairs. You'll find somebody like Boniface Mwangi. He's worked in so many organizations. Some of those organizations are funded with partners across the globe. So once you want to charge Boniface, for example, with an act of terror, what are you advertising to the US? That anybody who has ever given money to any organization Boniface has ever worked is now guilty of doing what? Funding terrorism. Are you seeing how you upset everything?
Yeah, yeah.
Without thinking. So it's madness. And then Igonga comes out and says, Martha Koome, when she visited Kikuyu law courts, said that was an act of terror. And that is why they charged them for terror. So even Martha Koome, why is she talking?
Well, she tried to clarify, or the judiciary rather.
No, why is she trying to talk about these things? It's not a business. That's the work of the CRJ, Chief Registrar of the Judiciary, to inspect court buildings. So now as she knows she's done an investigation and she's found to a terrorist attack, now Igonga is following in queue to charge people for terror. For nonsense. Those were just demonstrators. If you want to charge them for anything, go on unlawful assemblies or arson. Not now create something that is, because terrorism is not, but it tells you the mindset with these legacy politicians. You see, even somebody start thinking that I'm doing this to hurt my opposition or to stop the opposition. But what are you doing to the country? If you said, for example, that now you have over 5,000 terrorists in Kenya, in some countries, that's automatically travel advisory.
Yeah.
That's just a terror-prone country. We can't go.
Even tourism.
Even tourism, we are killing it.
So are they using these charges to silence the nation?
That was the intention, that go for the ultimate, to scare, send shivers down people's spine so that they are not able to come out to speak for their rights. That's all it is.
Do you think Kenyans will be silenced?
No. Kenyans cannot be silenced. These young people I meet on the street, no. They have crossed the Rubicon. The quest for a better Kenya, nothing can stop it. No army.
What happens if the charges continue in that line?
Of course, we are going to challenge those charges, all of them, the legality. You know, one thing legacy politicians need to understand, these young people, they have the time. You may have the watches, but they have the time. So we'll fight all those charges until they are dropped. Through the courts and even on the streets. You're not going to abuse the law to undermine that very law. That's what they're trying to do.
But sometimes in Kenya, as citizens, we feel like the law is a suggestion to the ruling class, but then it's the law to the citizens.
It has been before. That is what is changing. That's when I tell you we're going to topple it up. Because there are people in Kenya who operate as if the law doesn't apply to them. Somebody who has never even paid a traffic ticket. But to them, they've never even bought petrol. Do you know there are people in this country whose lives, since they matured into adulthood at 18, their lives have been narrated by the people of Kenya. Even buying fuel, they've never bought. Paying electricity bill, they've been here in cabinet rooms all their lives. Why? Or is it their birthright to sit in those offices to earn from public coffers and offer nothing in return? So they feel entitled. And that is the conversation that we are saying, no. We cannot have that kind of a society. Everybody must be subject to the law and equal treatment. In fact, in the best scenario, even the president, his meals at State House, he should be billed. He earns a salary. Yeah, why should he not be billed for his meals in State House? Obama used to pay for his meals.
Maybe he can pay. He had some billions for a church event.
The point is, even in principle alone, the very fact that he earns a salary, when he eats in his private residence at State House, he should be billed. He should pay for those meals.
So are you going to do that with Jimmy?
Yes, I'll bill him.
We will remind you.
We will bill him.
If you make it
for his meal in his residence.
Yeah.
He will pay. And I believe he believes, that's what accountability is about. So why are you being paid a salary if everything is being paid for by the state? What is it for? We should start creating a society where people don't start thinking that they are supernatural. No.
Yeah.
You are all, at the end of the day, you are still a human, subject to the same exigencies that other people are going through.
Yeah.
So that even when your favorite meal, the price has gone up, you'll see it on the bill. It reminds you that, hey, the price of unga has gone up. If you love ugali, the chef will tell you now, we could not buy your favorite hostess, now we are buying another one.
Very interesting.
Because the price of your economy is not doing very well.
Okay. Okay. Something else that is of public interest at the moment is funding for campaigns. Because then we have people who have an issue with Maraga opened a pay bill number for his campaign, and there's all this discussion. You can't just have 2 million. We can't you can't fundraise from us. You need to have money. Others think no.
No, I believe Kenyans should take ownership of their politics. And this is a culture that we need to encourage, of people publicly sourcing for funds and disclosing who has funded the campaigns. But you see, the average Kenyan always assumes that for you to run for office, you must have your own money. It should not be like that. We should go to a space where people actually actively conduct fundraisings. And in fact, it's not even just for presidential. I've been to so many fundraisings by people running for MCAs, MPs, governors. People do it. The only thing that is happening now is that there's now more awareness, or even being done at a global scale, national scale, of a president. Even Uhuru Kenyatta, I remember, used to host fundraising dinners.
Yeah.
When I was with Raila back in the day, we had a fundraising committee, because elections are expensive. And no one individual can run it on his own. And in fact, we should not even encourage individuals to spend their own private monies for campaigns. It is better when you are funded by your supporters, but the most important thing is the question of disclosure. That you're able to disclose who are the people who are funding this campaign, so that we can be able to know what interests when you get into office. What is their interests? It cannot be that Willis has donated 1 billion. Now you've got into office, you're seeing Willis the main contractor for all your projects. Then it raises a question as to that fund was not genuine. It was just somebody trying to buy support.
But isn't it what hurts us as an economy today? Because now there is political rewardees.
Yes, because that's what happens normally. You find people funding campaigns, and when their candidate gets into office, they are given goodies. So it's not about serving the people, it's about rewards. A corner that was worth 100 million, they end up doing for you a school classroom worth 5 million. 95 million is lost in between. People eat it. So we need to disclose all these. And we have the campaign financing regulations and act, which we are not following actively in this country.
Okay, there's a lot we are not following.
Kenyans are very bad in following the law. Because legacy politicians are very bad in not following the law.
Okay, and the young people have been agitating for that. And across the continent, we've seen in Burkina Faso, when they felt the law was not being followed, they just decided to go the revolution way. Do you think Kenya can go for a revolution? And if yes, how would that play out?
Article 1 of our constitution is very clear. All sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya.
Yeah.
And they may exercise it either directly
or indirectly. What does that mean exactly?
It simply means that in Kenya, a revolution is envisaged in our constitution. If the people decide to chase away their indirect, democratically elected representatives, see, we apply now Article 1, Part 1. They can exercise their sovereignty directly by chasing everybody who they don't want in office. Then the sovereign can organize himself to conduct an election. So yes, Kenya can have a revolution.
So basically we
are actually going through an economic revolution as we speak.
Economically, yes. I want to understand the political revolution. That chapter 1, because we recite it. We cite it as, but the how.
It is the how. They are on the streets. The people can decide to go, and when they stormed Parliament was cancelled. We are done with it. In fact, if Ruto did not climb down at the time when he did, State House could have been overrun. And they will go. There will be nothing unconstitutional about it. It will just be a question of the sovereign organizing themselves for another election to set in a new administration. So as we're in a unique situation, when we made our constitution, we reserved our sovereign rights. Our power as a sovereign was reserved to the people of Kenya. So when we remove the elected representatives, it is not it's not an unconstitutional revolution. It is a success of the constitution, that the sovereign has taken action against a rogue executive and parliament. And they are now exercising their sovereignty in Article 1 directly.
In such a scenario, would the citizens beat the military then?
No,
because they help put
the military is part of the laws. They are created by the law. So the military and other institutions of the state, they'll still be there. In fact, they're the ones who will help midwife a transition to ensure that the people are able to exercise their mandate and vote for their new elected representatives. That is what will happen. So
I want to understand. Today, we decide we are exercising that mandate. What happens?
If Rule Lemiro is removed?
Yes.
By the people
what
in
happens
a revolution?
Next? Yeah, the people, yes.
We have transition provisions in our constitution. The Speaker of Parliament will act for 60 days. And within 60 days, we have an election.
What if it's removed in the same way you're saying Parliament became was overrun?
If Parliament also is removed,
overrun, yes.
We have various institutions here. We have a Chief Justice, we have a judiciary, we have a civil service, which are manned by people. We have an IEBC. These heads of institutions will just sit down and issue a roadmap for transition. We have a police service. Institutions are still there.
You think they would be running
normally? No, they would. Why not? Kenyans don't have a problem with the institutions. Have you seen Kenyans attacking civil servants? They don't attack civil servants. They don't attack police when they go home. Police are only a problem when they are deployed by legacy politicians. And by the way, not even all policemen are deployed by legacy politicians. Majority of policemen don't go to these demonstrations or riots. They stay at home or do other police duties. I've been to a demonstration where there were policemen doing traffic and rioters were walking to town and they didn't bother with the policemen. They have no problem with it. In fact, they're even helping them sometimes to control traffic. So there's no problem with institutions. The problem we have here is legacy politicians who've messed up our economy. They're the ones that the Kenyan people want to do away with.
Okay.
Not the institutions of government.
Interesting.
It's individuals, not institutions. If Kenyans had a problem with institutions, you'll be witnessing widespread breakdown of law and order. Government installations across the country will be attacked. People will be boycotting government services. They are not. Here we are going to demonstrate. The next day we are in the same government offices. So they've recalled their legitimacy from William Ruto, not to the state of Kenya. They still want to be part of the committee of the state that we know as Kenya.
Quite interesting. In Burkina Faso, and I'm giving this example because it looks like it's the the one functioning coup country at the moment. Traore has decided to cut off the West. Now, if you come to power, because he felt they were taking too much and giving nothing to the Burkinabe people, is that something you'd consider for Kenya? Because we keep saying...
we will not say that we'll cut off the West or we'll go east. No. We'll make Kenya first. So our engagement with any partner across the globe must be a win-win relationship. Win-win. If they win, we must also win. It can't be a win-loss. So the basis of engagement will be one that is beneficial to both countries. And we are not interested in the fight between, for example, Russia and America. As we have no nuclear weapons, why should we be involved in their fight? If we can benefit from both, why not? But
it doesn't work that easily.
If you can, there are common interests that we may have with either side. And Africa has taken a position. AU has taken a position on these questions. We'll abide by the AU positions on these relationships. And the AU positions are negotiated with all the African countries, including even sometimes representations from the other global partners. So why not just align with the AU position? Is the easiest.
Let me. That sounds very easy, but when you look at it today, Trump has just decided to go on South Africa in terms of tariffs. Lesotho, I think, and those are African Union members, but AU has nothing on that. So what happens if you get in power? I don't know if Trump will have a third term and he decides something for Kenya. What action do you take?
The engagement is very simple. As our interest is Kenya, we are not even him when he's doing that. Is entitled to pursue American interests.
Yeah.
Rightfully so for him. So even us, we'll pursue what is in the best interest of the people of Kenya.
But the interests are always higher than what we get, either way the deal.
If it doesn't serve our interests, then we'll not be part of it. If it serves our interests, we are open.
So if they had a bad deal than the East, would you then face fully West?
If they had?
A bad deal.
One thing that I'm trying to say, which I'm trying to tell you, is not possible. You cannot say that our relationship is we are going to cut one sector and go the other side. No. Even Russia and Russia and America, at some point, they have areas of common interest.
Yeah.
And they talk. So even us, we can't say that we are hostile to the US or hostile to Russia or hostile to China. No, it's on issue based. What do they want to do or what do we want to do with them? How can we get a best agreement? Win-win. Where their interest is secured, our interest is also secured. We both benefit. It's a big market, the US. In terms of GDP, it's the largest GDP in the world. You'll want to access that market, right?
Yeah.
The number one trading partner to China is the US. Number one trading partner is the US. That's a market I will want to access, Kenyan people to access.
So do you think Traore made a mistake?
No. It's based on his interests at the time. I don't know what the peculiar interests were in Burkina that
it's
made
the resources, natural
that's what I'm saying.
resources.
So maybe part of it, he'll find a point at some point to renegotiate how they're engaging on those resources. Where they may say, fine, you have to set up those plant and machinery for processing the minerals here. We have to negotiate and agree on how much is remaining as royalties from the mining. Maybe we need to agree on how to involve local communities in the mining ventures. Give them equity in your company so that when you go and sell there, you're paying dividends to our people. You see, it's a question of based on an issue, you find what is working for both sides. So if it is minerals, we don't have the technology, for example, for minerals.
Yeah.
If a foreign company wants the technology, wants to come here and the capital, I will say, give us equity. I don't give government. You can give government 5% or 20%. Give the local community who live there, primary people who are suffering from the exploration. Give them 30% equity. Remain the 45%. So when you go to the market to sell your mineral, I'm guaranteed that my poor villager
has some benefit.
You'll earn a salary, you'll earn an interest, a dividend, even if it doesn't work.
Interesting.
But legacy politicians will rather sign an agreement between him and the
Investor.
So the profit goes to him. Me, I'll give it to the people. Give local community to take ownership, part ownership.
When you look at what is going on in Sudan, Congo, and where Kenya is, how do you feel about that whole?
I just see an
Because those are
opportunity.
our neighbors, it's interests again.
No, me, I see an opportunity. Those are markets. And because their systems are not fully stabilized, no serious investments can be done in that country. But they need the items that we produce here, that any human being will need. To me, I see markets. I will see an opportunity to be in good relations with the administration in those areas, so that we are able to sell our goods, not guns. We don't produce guns in Kenya. So we don't have to take part in the conflict, but you can sell our other products that the people there need. We have a stable manufacturing sector here that is just now facing challenges from William Ruto's failed economic policies. Go and access new markets. I want Bidco to be selling in Goma, fully supply edible oils in Goma. We can produce them here in Kenya and guarantee landing rights.
Okay.
Eh?
Sounds promising.
So that I have more people employed at Bidco because there's a plant dedicated to the Goma market. I have more Kenyans employed here. They'll pay us more taxes here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's about the economy. As a Safina party, our interest, the lenses we look at everything is the economy. What's the value add on the economic lives of the people? Because we believe there is no independence that anybody can ever get without the independence of the pocket. With the economic revolution and liberation, the human being gets a chance to live a life of dignity.
What do you think of the Kenya foreign policy at the moment and where we stand?
I don't think we have one.
We have. It was relaunched by Mudavadi the other day.
Me, all I remember is when William Ruto became president, the first thing he did was to issue a tweet on Western Saharawi.
That was a blunder.
When there's an AU position on that issue. His foreign policy is dependent on his whims for the day, or maybe who has lobbied him. We don't seem to have one. So if you're talking about the basic piece of paper that he wrote, there's none. For me, I look at our foreign relations to be about how do we enhance our economic interests. These ambassadors are being appointed here all over. What is their value to the country? As we not appoint ambassadors.
What will you appoint? Are you going to close
appoint commercial ambassadors.
Hey, that sounds like a hawking thing.
Him is going there to look for business for the Kenyan people. Yeah. And I'm not talking about taking at the traditional people going with some funny curios. The time I went to Russia for an Russo-Africa summit, and the Russians have come there with modern equipment, technology for medicine, even tankers, even gunships. Then you go to an African stand and you find somebody has come with a curio.
I don't even know what.
No. Now, even if one tanker, they can buy all the curios. What are you talking about? As it should be about, how do we learn from technology transfers from these partners? And how can those countries be our trading partners to enhance our economic growth, access to new markets? The ambassadors we have here, these ones are just used to take people's children to school. Legacy politicians, when they travel, they take their kids to Europe. It's the ambassador receiving the kids and checking. That's not about what ambassadors should be doing. Ambassadors should be there, number one, primarily to secure economic interests. And we must see tangible results. What are you doing to enhance our access to that market? Which products can you take to that market? How many trade exhibitions have you done for Kenyans in your country? Where are the areas of partnership? What technology do we have in that country that local Kenyan investors or manufacturers can use to enhance their production? Is there better access to capital, for example? Which linkages, partnerships can you create between Kenyan manufacturers, Kenyan investors, with the people in that country? That is what as we are interested. As we are economy.
Economy is the thing.
It's the economy.
Okay. The other bloc in the world that is trying to destabilize or just shake the normal global economy scale is BRICS. So do you think Kenya would be under your leadership? Would we join BRICS, and why?
Again, as I said, it's the interest of the nation. If people are fighting their own battles, Kenya has no nuclear weapons. Does it enhance our engagement, our economy? If it does, why not engage? If it doesn't, why should we?
From where you sit, do you think it would enhance us joining BRICS?
If it's a divisive bloc.
No, economically.
No, I'm not sure. I have to look at the balance of trade. What are the trade opportunities that we can get through BRICS, that we can get through bilateral agreements with those countries? Because we already have bilateral with some of those countries. So if we can still achieve it, and if BRICS is more of a political vessel, why should we join it? So we'll assess. Otherwise, you may end up finding yourselves in wars that you don't care about or don't know nothing about. That to me is the most important thing. Ruto wachana nayo. You pursue what is in the best interest of your nation. And non-aligned has worked for many African countries. Especially in political formation. What would happen if we
aligned? Huh? What would happen if we aligned?
Because once we are aligned, you now must carry the burden of your partners.
Isn't it more beneficial to align because it's clear its interests?
No. You may be aligned, and some of these big boys are fighting bigger wars than you know about. You may just become collateral. And once you're aligned to one side, maybe what you're doing, you're antagonizing the other side unnecessarily. And maybe you had trade opportunities. So, being unaligned does not cause anybody anything.
You know, from
you
where
can talk to everybody.
I kind of feel like we are aligned, especially with the US.
No, we are not aligned. If you ask me, we are not aligned.
Mm-hmm. With all these bases in...
We don't have a foreign policy. It depends on what William Ruto's whims for the day. That's why one day you'll wake up in China and say Kenya and China are going to create the new world order. Then he goes to the US and signs as an what was it called? Non-member of NATO.
Non-NATO ally.
Non-NATO ally. Non-member ally of NATO. You see, why? Then you start going to Ukraine, you start saying Russia, you condemn Russia. Yet the same Russia gave you fertilizer that you stole and applied. Then before you know it, you are in Israel fighting Israel and Gaza. So which is the position? As will be very clear, it's Kenyan interest. And you don't antagonize anybody. Why should we antagonize anybody? If there's a joint venture that can benefit both our countries, why not?
Very interesting perspective. Out of curiosity, do you think Trump is going to end the Russia-Ukraine war?
To an extent that there's a ceasefire. Then there's political will to end it. He may just succeed. The only thing that I'm not sure about that I cannot discuss is the terms of that cessation, ending the war. I don't know what terms they will agree on. But at least to the extent that both sides have agreed to a ceasefire, even if there are challenges, it's a step in the right direction. So the details of a total cessation of hostilities is what I believe. If the US applies its power, they can achieve it. It just depends on what compromises they will get from Russia. Because Russia has legitimate concerns that cannot be ignored, that led them to that war in the first place. So they must find a balance. Ukraine also don't want to cede any territory. It's a sovereign country. But why should Kenyans, for example, get to that fight? How does it benefit our economic interest?
I think because we are in a global space.
No. So how does that affect that fight of superpowers?
No, how it affects. We ended up being told we didn't have wits.
No. You see, that is why I tell you. That fight between Ukraine and Russia, where does Kenya come in there? Because even if Russia just throws one missile here in Kenya, it cannot disappear. Yeah, if you decide to become now involved with the Kierere, they just throw one missile here. What defense mechanism do you have? Air defenses do you have? That's a war you keep away from. Doesn't affect you. If the big boys are talking there to solve it, you encourage them to find a solution. We have bigger problems here. We are still dealing with a population that is ballooning, that lacks jobs.
Yeah.
A population that is struggling to feed itself in a day. Here, Kenyans sleep hungry. Many Kenyans here are just one disease away from poverty. And yet, in all that, in the midst of all that, you think that now Ukraine-Russia war is your priority. You want to comment about it. So you deal with these small things first. The cities that you have here, towns, look at the kind of houses we live in. How many Kenyans have access to sanitation?
They'll tell you that's why they're doing affordable housing.
No. How many Kenyans? Deal with it then. Affordable housing will end up being high-rise slums. That one I can tell you for a fact. And time will prove us right.
Okay.
Deal with the issues that are of interest to your people. You have no business. Even if, for example, Ukraine or Russia were to ask you, send us troops and equipment to help us in the fight, what can you provide?
Human resource.
Which you were just sending. You are just sending paying people to be killed. That's what you are contributing. You see, that is why I say, don't get involved. Even if you wanted to get involved in that conflict, in a conflict situation, so you go and solve the conflict that is here in Africa. Maybe you can try in DRC to bring peace between the M23 and DRC.
Okay. Do you think it was a good idea to have our boys in Haiti?
It was a very bad idea. What interest do we have in Haiti? There is not even a single coin that comes between Kenya and Haiti in trade. Zero. There is not even a single coin, not even a toothpick is imported from Kenya to go to Haiti. So what is our national interest in Haiti?
We want to make money through UN, perhaps.
No. So now we have become mercenaries. We've turned Kenya into a mercenary state. Then you have many wars to fight, including recruiting for Ukraine and Russia war, before you go to Israel and Palestine. Then there's Israel and Iran. Then you go down to Sudan. So it's not in our national interest to be in Haiti. Let the Haitians solve their issues. They understand the context, it's their language. They know why they're in that situation. And within them, they can find an nonviolent way of solving their problems. Kenya has no interest in Haiti. If anything, you wanted to intervene anywhere, here in DRC, we could have gone there as peacemakers to help find peace to the political situation. Not as antagonists, but as peace ambassadors to bring peace in the country. Because that's a market. That's a market. So many of our products go to DRC. I want to enhance it. There are almost 70 million people in DRC. That's a market.
You know, that's why I was asking you. If the US gave you something to do, like, fine, we want to sign a deal, but we want you to send your boys to this place.
No. You're doing research here. It must be a joint venture between USAID and a Kenyan institution. So that whatever comes out of that research, we have local manufacturers. We can produce it locally. As we are targeting the African market, we have a growing market here.
Yeah.
And it's called a virgin market that has not been tapped by any African state. That's what we want to capture. So we don't have enough men that we can send to any war.
Okay.
We have poverty, disease, and illiteracy to fight.
Which seems we might promote more illiteracy if
yes.
we can't fund.
So that's what we need to fight. That's what our focus is. And the US will not force you to give them troops to go and fight in those wars. No. If you want to deploy troops, we'll do it through the UN missions under the auspices of the UN, which by the time it is done, it's a seriously negotiated agreement that the entire world at the global forum, the UN, has seen the need for people to contribute troops. That one we will participate. But one-on-one, you send your troops to Haiti. They can't even speak Creole or French. Then you go and start interfering with the Haiti issues. Not even a single coin is exchanged between Haiti and Kenya.
Well, the CS told us money was going to come in, so...
And that's why I say
I need to find out if it's still coming.
Unless we turn into a mercenary state. But the Kenyan state, as I know it, is not a mercenary state. So we can't be sending our police officers or our army to earn a living. Then you can as well start doing paramilitary training to everybody in this country. And
So
we call
they
ourselves a
get
mercenary
ready.
force. And we deploy them all over the world in all these conflict zones to be killed.
Okay. Hopefully they're not being killed.
No, the policemen, some of them have been killed, unfortunately.
Well, yes. That's the sad state. But
Yeah.
hopefully, I hope the majority survive.
They should be home. We should not wait for the inevitable.
So you will bring them home immediately? Or?
We have no interest in Haiti. I've told you there's not a single coin that comes from Haiti to support any Kenyan business here. So what is our interest? But DRC is a market. We'll be there begging the country, the president and the other group to find a solution to their conflict. Because we want to send goods there. That's a market. We want to produce more things.
And send.
Plastics, edible oils, even our content. Our young people wants to go and teach them, shoot in DRC and help them download content.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds nice. What would be your, before I leave the African politics, who would you say is your maybe best sitting president at the moment in Africa? And why?
The president that I admire most in Africa at the moment. The unfortunate bit is that off the top of my head, I cannot give you a name because by the time I admire someone, I look at your track record, and I also have these tendencies of not praising a sitting president. For the simple reason that the last time when I did that, the person turned to become a dictator. So I'm very cautious to give flowers to serving people who are still in office.
So you don't have at the moment?
Because tomorrow, that man will just turn against his citizens. Then I'm forced to swallow my words.
Withdraw.
To withdraw.
No, it's okay, but at least
withdraw and apologize.
We are saying at the moment.
Which one?
At the moment.
Which
if they
Africa?
change tomorrow, we will judge them from there. None.
There are some I know at a personal level, so I can't use that as a basis to say.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just looking for one who is standing out. The natural person that I would have thought of, but I've not understood his politics fully to know whether some of the things shared are true or exaggerated, will be more of Traore. He's captured the imagination of many young people in the continent, and he seems to be moving towards a trajectory that brings meaning to the people of Burkina Faso.
Because everyone who sits here, I think 98% have said Traore. Do you think he's radicalizing the African youth?
No, he's giving them hope. That is possible. He's at 30-something years, I think 33?
Yeah. No, 36
36, yeah. So he's giving them hope that it can actually be done. And you don't have to be in office.
Legally.
You don't have to be in office to acquire for yourself. It's about service. It's about the people. These many details of what people discuss doesn't make sense. So he's one person I can, to an extent, if I was pushed to zero down on one.
You know what I find interesting? We all admire this guy who's not, but we promote democracy. Then is it a fallacy?
No. Because he's showing you that it can be done. And even him coming there was out of frustrations with democracy. People undermining the will of the people. So he's doing what needs to be done. He's laying a basis. So next time when people are doing an election, they know what to expect of a leader. And the military is there to help them make sure that the direct sovereignty can be exercised if the leaders decide to become legacy politicians. That to me is the admiration in him. But who is elected? The one person that I may, to an extent, but is still new, maybe it will not be right to judge him at this point. It's barely taken 1 year, will be Duma Boko. Botswana. So, some of the things he's saying and his posturing so far looks good, but it's still early
to tell. Okay. Very interesting. I find it very interesting about Traore, to be very honest, because we all admire that, but then we still have that.
But he's gotten a platform to do what leaders need to do. So we must give him his flowers.
Do you think he's a threat to the African leaders?
The legacy politicians?
Yeah.
Most
African presidents.
Those are their times are up. The time of those legacy politicians is up in Africa. It's a new beginning. And we are going to see more and more uprisings across the continent. Because the ballooning population of young people that is more aware, more enlightened, and courageous is going to take on all these systems to demand for a better society. And by the cry of these young people is not too much to ask.
Yeah.
Somebody just asking you to give them dignity. That's the easiest thing to do. So the only thing that why they are still finding it a problem and resisting is greed. To them, they are seeing they're losing opportunities. But sometimes you just say, well, how much is enough? The one thing that I admired the other 2 weeks ago was how Buhari was laid to rest. That image should be shared with every African president and legacy politician.
But haven't they seen their own?
Yeah, they should just see how, at the end of the day, a very shallow grave, simple burial. To dust we come, and to dust we shall all return. Nobody goes down with their Bugattis and Louis Vuittons. You leave them here. Then you ask yourself, what was it? Was it worth it? It was all vanity.
But you have enjoyed
But
it.
a legacy, no, but a legacy. Look at Mandela. Yeah. For all you can blame Mandela for, he left one thing, a legacy.
Yeah.
He has a name. That even if a great-grandchild of Mandela was to walk in here now and tell you I'm a Mandela, your first response is to sit upright and say, let's take a photo. You're like, because the grandfather left them a name. But if Mobutu Sese son walked here, you will start hiding these cameras. You will start hiding the cameras and call security to be on standby. Why? He left them a tainted name.
Yeah.
That is their legacy. So at the end of the day, what matters? Serve the people.
Yeah.
Service with humility to guarantee people a life of dignity.
Great. Before I end it up, it would be people I think would crucify me if I don't ask you. Do you wake up to fight with people on Twitter, or do you just tweet and people just find you?
You know, if you look at my tweets, even the people say that I
And
fight.
also, do you sleep? There's a day I was up at 3 a.m. and I see you've tweeted 5 minutes ago. I'm like...
I sleep in stages. So I can sleep early morning. I can sleep early evening. Stages, even afternoon.
Okay.
So depending on the time when sleep comes. But when I'm out of town and I'm in my village, rural home, I try to sleep longer, from midnight to 7.
Okay.
But I don't wake up to insult people. If you notice, everybody who has received their fair share of strokes,
Of asking for dissertation.
they came to my wall. I don't go to their walls. And they brought Upuzi. So I serve you what you came with. My wall is a very sane wall that is about the people's issues. So when people receive strokes on my wall, it's out of when somebody is out of order. That you need to put them in their place. And you do it in a way that must sting them.
Intellectually.
Yes, must sting them. Just remind them of how stupid they are to bring that argument. You make them start questioning their own moral compass. Some of them actually reach out to me
After
that. Now, why did you expose me? But I didn't expose you. You exposed your stupidity. It's not me. We are discussing serious issues, but you are still a lucky of a legacy politician somewhere. You want to take us back to tribal politics or some nonsense. No. Come here and debate issues. Let's have an honest debate. I come with my facts, come with your facts. And I can learn from you maybe if there's something. But if you come with Matusi, I graduated from the school of Chongwano, so you will receive it.
And some have 0 citations. That got me.
Someone who cannot even give us his dissertation. I'm still waiting for that so-called doctor to share his dissertation and to peer review it. I see if
It will be worth
my attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Generally, what do you think of Twitter and the Kenyan political space?
No. Twitter is the place to be. X is the place to be. What I like about Twitter is the nature of engagement. Kenyans are very brutal on Twitter, and they don't take any prisoners. Facebook is a bit slow. Facebook people can get away with so many things. They are not as critical like Twitter is. And that's something I really admire about Cox. The other platform that I enjoy is TikTok. In fact, I've noticed TikTok, despite the entertainment stuff, TikTok also has a very serious critical community that discusses very deep issues. And the interesting thing about the TikTok community is they do their own TikTok lives. Sometimes I join some of them anonymous.
Why are you
And
fearing?
No. I mean, maybe I'm not invited. They don't want to take away attention from the owners of the platform. And they discuss serious issues. And what caught me is how you can find a live can even go for even 5 hours.
Yeah.
People are doing the other things as they participate in this conversation. It's like people doing their things, but are in the same room at the same time, contributing to the conversation and going on with their ordinary lives. So I admire that a lot on TikTok. And even if you look even at the quality of engagements on TikTok, on issues that affect Kenyans, it's very deep also on TikTok, and I admire that. Instagram, I'm still learning that one.
You will get there. Just take nice photos.
I'm still learning. I just take nice photos.
Yeah, it's for vibes and inshallah.
Okay. So I'll just go there, inshallah.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're doing very well on your Twitter space on educating the public. That's actually a good thing. And also taking on people who display
nonsense.
their ignorance. Yeah.
We must teach them.
And I love it.
It is
Keep
my
teaching.
duty.
Council, it's been such an interesting conversation we've had. And I hope our viewers also, I can tell from the guys who are in the room, people enjoyed this. So I'm sure even the people watching have enjoyed. Maybe your closing remarks to fellow Kenyans.
No, to fellow Kenyans, we cannot relent. The legacy politicians would wish that our spirits die. But the greatest threat they are facing is an awakened population. Whatever they do, we should never give up the fight. We must keep going, and the Kenyan people will finally get their way and their say in terms of the quality of leaders that they deserve and they desire. Thank you very much for listening.
All right. Thank you very much. For you who's been watching, I hope by now you are subscribed. If you've not, you better be. You see, senior counsel, counsel will be back. Hopefully he'll be a senior counsel soon.
I'll be deputy president.
It wouldn't have to be a senior counsel who's president.
I want to serve the people.
You want to serve the people. When you're not sweeping people on Twitter and in court, what do you do for fun?
I farm.
Farming? Okay.
So I farm sugarcane.
Oh. And why don't we have enough sugar?
If we have time, I will have taken even through that. But now...
Time is...
It doesn't make sense. Kenya is sugar deficient. We don't have enough. We don't produce enough for our market. And yet, you have farms in the western region that are not making sense, are lying fallow, not fully developed. Then when you come up with an intervention, you give the factories to some windies who are just proxies to legacy politicians. In Safina, what will we do? Those farms have a nucleus that serves them. Farmers in that region, why not even just say I'm giving the farmers 40% ownership of the factory? Let the strategic investor own 40%. Government to retain 20%. And then you enhance production. Because you have a market. We cannot produce the amount we need that we consume. It's a ready market. These are win-win for everybody. Yeah. When those farms are working, factories are working at optimum, your people will also earn money. But why can't they do that? A ready market for sugar. That's legacy politicians for you. Okay.
We have to end it at that. We will be inviting Wakili again. At least now he knows we love him in this space. So karibu sana next time.
Keep it away from me. Now you know.
Now you know.
Now you know.
Always drop it. And you need to watch his dance videos, by the way, now that he's on TikTok. He did something with our team. Thank you for watching. See you on the next episodes.